don't even care. I don't even give a little care.
Shit, we were talking about Betamax watching movies on beta in the last episode.
That's weird.
Dang.
Interesting device. Do you guys still have that or no?
No, I don't think so.
Aw, man, should have held on to it.
Damn, right? Is there a qualitative difference? Can you actually see a difference between Betamax and VHS, or is it so negligible that it's like whatever?
It's hard to say because at that time I didn't even realize that there was a difference.
I know. I don't think that my expertise is there to notice differences in it. You know,
You're like, it's all grainy, Michael. It's all grainy.
pretty much. I didn't realize that it was the competitor to VHS. I thought that it was just
knockoff.
VHS.
Oh.
And so I just assumed that Betamax was worse.
Oh shit! Wow, interesting. I had heard that it was qualitatively actually slightly better than VHS, but that
that's what I heard too.
It just became ubiquitous, and it's like once you get that ball rolling, it's like you can't stop people from just going with it, like Blu-rays and stuff, like versus HD DVDs. Like,
I think the main selling point was that VHS could record longer, and so people are like, "Oh, I will drop the quality for quantity." Right.
Right. Well, because we all know why VHS became a thing, why VHS actually blew up. It's cartoons. No, it was the porn industry. That's what it was.
We should just think porn just cause.
Porn's probably the reason that many of us are alive anyway.
Exactly.
So guys, with this being our anniversary episode, I wanted to just do, and I think this would be a treat for Michael. Let's talk about Steph's legend, wait for it, Dairy childhood birthday party tape.
Oh, goodness.
There's this legendary birthday party VHS tape that I'm sure she still has, and this thing is epic.
Somewhere. Why are we talking about this? Okay, so my parents were not birthday party people, so I had exactly one birthday party in my entire life that I was able to invite my friends to and everything.
It's kind of like that typical handheld shitty shaky camera
cool.
footage, found footage almost.
After this party my mom was like, never again. But my dad had this camcorder, and it was this, I want to say it was big. I remember it being big, but I'm not sure if it really was big. But it took those. Didn't it take those tiny tapes?
I think so. Yeah, okay. It was pretty small.
I think it was
and then we had to tape it onto a regular size tape, a regular size VHS, right?
Oh yeah, that was right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember. I mean, there's a little bit of footage of all the games that we played. We did hot potato.
What birthday is this? This is your
my 8th birthday. Yeah,
that's right.
I was wearing the specific outfit that I really liked.
It was like a white dress, I remember.
It was the 90s, so it was like a sweat jacket and skirt set.
Oh, is that what that? Okay.
It wasn't skirts. You weren't wearing skirts.
No, it was just a skirt. Yeah, it was white with gold polka dots.
What's so fucking cool about this is that a lot of our childhood friends make a cameo in this footage, and so Cameron Meese,
wow,
he's rocking a mullet in this footage, and then his sister has that typical 90s side ponytail thing going on
with the fluffy bangs.
It was awesome. It's a time capsule.
Oh man, I should try. I know, yeah. You know what? The one of the people in the video borrowed it when we were adults.
I can't believe you did that. I would not have trusted anyone with
that. I know I shouldn't have accidentally filmed over part of it. And then after that, I took out the tab.
You break that off and no one can write over it. That's right.
Dude, I would have been pissed.
I was, and he was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry."
What?
And I was just like, "I'm never fucking talking to you again," and I never did.
I wouldn't either. That's ridiculous. The hell.
There were several games. Of course, it's a birthday party.
No.
Yeah, musical chairs, hot potato. All played to Michael Jackson's Thriller album.
Of course.
Just the same fucking song.
Dang.
It was the whole album. It was the whole album on tape.
I thought they just keep replaying that one
song.
Started
at the beginning. No, they just started at the beginning and just let the whole album go through as the games went on or whatever.
Michael Jackson. I remember that distinctly.
And it took forever to get to the actual song because they kept stopping it,
Oh, right. Got musical chairs, of course.
So it's just the intro the whole time.
We did a few rounds, and Steph never won once, and she was fucking pissed.
I've always been. I'm a sore loser, and I've always been a sore loser.
I like that you say it that way because some people will say I'm competitive, but it's like, if you're competitive, it just means you really like you're in there. You try hard. It's
Yeah.
not like it doesn't
That
mean that
doesn't mean
you're
that doesn't mean you're a poor sport, right?
right,
I'm not
right, right.
competitive and I'm a sore loser. I'm not a good sport.
Yeah. No, trust me. We've all been there. You're just like,
So yeah, so like when you see me stomping off, I'm literally like, I never win.
It's perfect timing because the camera like almost like walking up to the side of her face as she's like throwing this tantrum and storms off.
I never
I
win.
never win.
This is awesome. Who is recording? Because they deserve a
Dad,
medal
I
for that.
think.
That's right.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes to a point where it's showing like just people hanging out, eating the cake and ice cream, and I think it actually catches on camera. Somebody drops a scoop of ice cream on the floor, and they pick it up and put it back on the plate.
Yep. Misty.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
Looks
her.
around for a second and then she's just like, oh.
Dang.
Totally gives it to somebody.
One of the best parts of it was the pin the tail on the donkey.
So at some point, there's the tail was coming out of like the tail is on the donkey's butt, right?
Okay.
So somebody put the tail on the donkey, and then somebody put the like another tail on the tail, so it looked like
Oh.
Yeah,
shitting the tail. So yeah.
Oh my god.
And I think it was Cameron that was like, "There's double trouble coming out of its butt" or something.
Yep.
Double trouble.
I'll never forget that
Wow.
one.
Quick break in the party where Cameron will like take center stage. He just kind of like grabs the camera and it's
Yep.
like, how are you looking from
Yeah,
over there and
that's
then looking up to here?
true.
And
Oh my
he's like
gosh.
whatever the fuck he's saying. His
Yeah.
face takes up the entire screen.
Yeah, great. And then when the pinata happens, so everyone moves outside and the pinata breaks and everyone's grabbing the candy and stuff. And I don't know if this
Yep.
actually caught on tape, but I had one of those like stereotypical donkey shaped pinatas.
Yeah.
We had a dope setup for that though, because we had a carport, so there was enough room to be able to have people gather around, and we had like something to attach and elevate the pinata. So it was a pretty cool setup.
But I wish we had gotten one of those like star shaped pinatas or something, because I had this weird emotional attachment to inanimate things.
Oh no.
Really? I never knew this. So you
Yes.
felt bad for it.
And same with like stuffed animals and stuff too. I was always like that. And so when the donkey broke open, I got really sad. And so like I just like kind of went in there and took one of the legs and like sulked off in the corner. I was sad for the donkey and I never got candy.
That's in the footage. Yeah. So, well, before that, it's fucking hilarious because everyone is just like uncoordinated kids. We're like
Yeah.
missing, you
Yeah.
know, like
You have a parent who's pulling on it, right?
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
that's- Okay. Yeah.
you never ever have a pinata hitting event without someone getting hurt.
Right?
And so
Oh.
someone straight up gets whacked in the head by
Broom.
the
Oh,
broom,
man.
like
Who
full
was
blast.
that?
Damn.
Yeah, it was like the broom handle, wasn't it?
Ooh.
Was that Ethan? Or maybe it was Cooper
That's what I
that
was
got hit
thinking.
in
That
the
was
head.
one of those two.
Oh.
He doesn't cry or anything, but he's just like, oh, it's kind of wholesome because Ethan like turns and like rubs his cheek. He's just like, oh, you okay?
Oh, that is sweet.
And then, but like everyone's like gathered around, like cheering, like, yeah, hit it. And it's just, it was such an awesome moment. Like, I love looking
Yeah.
back.
I don't know that we have any videos ourselves of those same years, but I remember vividly those kinds of experiences. And I don't know if we used a broom. I think we did use a broomstick sometimes, but I think we also used we always had wiffle ball bats, those yellow plastic wiffle ball bats.
Yeah.
But anyway, wow, that's so cool that you guys have that like time capsule.
Yeah.
I think the pinata was
The coup de
the
grace.
final game, and then the kids are ravenous. So as soon as
Yeah.
it breaks, everyone just storms in, and I think someone is still swinging. So like people are getting whacked in the head. Candy's like fucking gone. They're like locusts, right? And then you see Steph kind of just like, I distinctly remember her picking up like a leg, and she kind of looks, and there's like a couple pieces of candy in there, so she just kind of like in her like little dark cloud, like she just kind of walks off, and like I think it follows her for a second, and then that's the end of the film.
Aw.
Cool sad.
I know it's kind of depressing.
Takes her like
And that was the legendary tape. I hope someday you get to see it because it's
I'll
have
fucking
to-
hilarious. And you know, Steph, you have to transfer it to like digital or
I
something.
know.
Send it to me.
I should. I'll have to see. Because I'm pretty sure that's the sort of thing that I have stored away, but I have it stored somewhere inside the house because I know that it would get damaged if it was outside, you know?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, those things get moldy, like if there's moisture around.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I have a box in the coat closet, like up on the shelf above the coats.
All right, we ready?
let's
Ready.
mob it.
Mob it to the Overlook.
Mobbing it to the overlook.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Aflixionados podcast, episode 42, our anniversary episode.
Woo!
And what is it now? Our third anniversary.
Wow, really?
What?
Because on our first year anniversary, we would have an episode, and then on our second year anniversary,
Yeah,
we'd have an
yeah.
episode. And
Right.
so, this being if it's our third, then
But we can't have an anniversary until we've actually reached a year, right? So that's why our second year would be our first anniversary.
the beginning of the second year would be the first anniversary. So, is this the beginning of the third year? We have completed 2 whole years. We're starting the third.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our
So
2-year
it'd be
anniversary.
2 year. Okay.
This is our second birthday.
Our second name day, as they would say on House of the Dragon.
Lordy.
Honestly, it feels like we've been doing this for only a year. Like, time's gone by
I
super
know.
fast.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I digress. We're available wherever you get podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the first Saturday of each month, 5 a.m. Pacific. Find us on YouTube at Aflixionados Podcast. If you enjoy our content, please stab that like button and subscribe.
Damn.
Our merch store link can be found in the episode descriptions. You're throwing me off.
I see Scream. I just see that like stupid masked Scream, like stab it with that curvy knife, you know.
Right.
I like their shit. I like
Maybe hit it with an axe.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Yeah, I could do that too. Just use our link tree. It's easier. It's got everything in there, and you don't have to fish around for all these separate links. Just use the link tree. You can get our main page from there. You can get all of the streaming services. You can stream straight from the link tree. So just use that. It's easier.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it's pretty cool. My name is Eric, and the other voices occupying your head this time are a proud mother of 3, lab geek, comic nerd, a boss, my sister, bathtub lady, and co-host Stephanie.
Wait, what? I only want to be bathtub lady if I'm the hot version, okay?
You get to choose.
Yay, hot version.
Bathtub lady.
And also joining us, a man of many traits, philosopher, charmer, my good friend, colleague, light of my life, and co-host, Michael.
Hello, puppet.
Here on Afflictionados podcast, we mainly talk about films that range from mind-numbing to mind-blowing. We also cover TV shows and other forms of media. As always, we will be getting into spoilers here, and there will be only the healthiest amount of expletives tossed in. You have been warned. If you ain't ready, then get ready, because in this episode, we'll be discussing the timeless psychological horror classic, The Shining. Bum, bum, bum.
Don't sing that too long. It'll get flagged.
It's not an original song. I didn't come up with that. Don't be fooled.
Yeah, don't be fooled.
The Shining was released in 1980, directed
Oh.
by Stanley Kubrick. Or do you say Kubrick? I've heard a lot of people say Kubrick.
I say Kubrick. I don't know.
I say
I say
Kubrick, too.
Kubrick.
Kubrick. I don't know. I don't like that.
No.
don't
I
like
feel
that
like
at all.
Kubrick
It's
is
offensive.
like British because he moved to the UK after a while, but he's from New York. Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Kubrick.
Yeah, we definitely ain't saying that then.
What, we're not British?
Weird.
Some might say we're descendants of British.
We're Holmeses. Or we're Holmeses.
Elementary, dear Watson.
My dear Watson.
My dear.
You can take the man out of England, but you can't take the England out of the man. So sometimes my natural British accent just comes out.
Right,
Yeah,
your
that's-
natural British
Exactly.
accent.
Very natural and with such daring do.
As most people know, the film was based on the 1977 Stephen King novel of the same name. The Shining novel was also adapted into a 1997 TV miniseries, and more recently, it's going to be, I guess, the subject matter of an upcoming Netflix spin-off called The Overlook.
That's cool.
That might be one to check out.
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about it, but I just found out about that as I was doing research for this movie.
That's really interesting because there's that TV show on Hulu, which if you guys never got around to seeing, I recommend at least the first season. That's what I watched, but it was
Just
called Castle Rock.
yeah, but that's just kind of in the Stephen King universe, I believe.
Yeah, it's all in the universe.
Oh.
Mhm.
So it
Yeah, it's
has,
not-
like characters from various books that are, because when Stephen King writes his books, they all kind of exist in the same kind of universe in his mind, and so they'll make cameos in each other's books sometimes. I know several characters from other books show up in the Dark Tower series because I've read it.
Oh, I was gonna say the Dark Tower series for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Redrum. Red rub. Red
Thanks,
rum.
Tony, cousin.
That voice was so fucking
Tony's
annoying.
cousin, yeah. It's so stupid. Red rum. Red rum. Red rum. Oh my gosh, so bad, so bad.
I know.
Yeah, that was one thing that was one huge difference for me this time. Probably the thing that made the biggest difference overall, because every time I watched the movie, and I mean, I only, like I said, watched it twice before, and when I would watch it, I would be like, "Oh my gosh, this kid is so stupid. He's a terrible actor as a kid. He's like, this is so cheesy." The whole red rum thing, I didn't get it. I was just like, who's he talking? And so I threw out like whatever he said as this character, because I was like, oh, this is just him. Suddenly he's just like telling his mom some stupid shit. But then, just being a kid, whatever. Get out of here, you fucking little twerp.
You're not my real dad.
You're not you're not my real.
Yo.
I definitely don't think that.
G.I.
I don't think that
Joe.
acting was top notch per se, but the fact that this kid had to basically portray two people is pretty impressive.
That's it.
It
That's
is.
it. And that's what I didn't understand before, is I didn't know that it was a separate person. See, when I first saw it, I was a teenager. This is on the heels of watching all sorts of other really cool, scary movies. And this one just didn't have that, just kind of like deflated it for me, because I was just like, oh, they got this cheesy kid actor or whatever. But when I watched it this time, I had my brother had, his girlfriend had gifted me a copy of The Shining probably like six Christmases ago, maybe more. And so I had the paperback, and eventually I got around to reading probably the first 50 pages, maybe 100. And I'm a big Stephen King fan. All through high school, I would read all Stephen King stuff. It was awesome. And so immediately I'm gripped, and I'm reading this story, and I'm like,
Nice.
this is who Tony is. I was like, Tony's down on the corner and he's talking to the kid, but the kid's standing in his room looking through the glass window. So this time when I watched it with this knowledge that Tony is a separate entity,
Mm-hmm.
and
That
is
probably helped a lot,
speaking
huh?
to him. Oh, absolutely. Then it added gravitas to the whole
Right.
portrayal, and I didn't see it as a kid being a bad actor. I saw it more as him doing his damnedest to get across that this is not this other person is in him, and so changing the voice was a way to indicate that this wasn't the Danny
Definitely.
anymore. This was somebody else speaking.
Yeah.
So, but he's so much more articulate. That's the other thing too, is like in the book, there's a lot more things that Tony says, and it's not just like the red rum kind of thing, which it sticks out, right? It's kind of
Right.
poignant.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that they had to do for the movie, was the visual effect of it, because I think in the book he doesn't do the finger.
Have you read
I
the
didn't
book?
think he did. You did the audiobook,
I've
right?
listened to it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure they did that just so you would know for sure. I mean, there was no question about it
Yeah,
that
the voice and the finger.
yeah,
Yep.
there.
Mhm.
But so I don't know if Michael, I don't know if Eric told you kind of the reason why we're doing The Shining for this particular episode. It's actually because I was sad that I did not get to be involved in Doctor Sleep, because I really like Doctor Sleep.
Back then, when the episode went live and everything, I didn't think that you gave a shit about Doctor Sleep until like earlier this year. You mentioned it, like, oh fuck, I really wanted to be part of that episode.
Yeah, I really like that movie, and one I had only seen I've only seen The Shining twice. The second time being for this podcast, and the first time I saw The Shining, I was just kind of about it. I mean, I just kind of brushed it off. I know it's a cult classic or whatever, but I didn't really get it, and I never planned on seeing it again. Pretty much.
Damn, so you really didn't like it?
It's not that I didn't like it; it was just kind of eh. So I saw Doctor Sleep, and then I finally actually got it. Right?
When you
I
say get it,
understood. Well, because I didn't know what The Shining was. I didn't realize that that kind of similarly that Danny was talking to somebody else, that it wasn't just an imaginary friend. Because when Wendy's all like, oh, he has his imaginary friend or whatever, I was thinking, oh, okay, so he has an imaginary friend. I wasn't realizing that it
Yeah.
really is another entity. And then Doctor
They don't
Sleep,
really explain that. Yeah.
they don't explain it. And so Doctor Sleep, and I didn't read the book, so Doctor Sleep explains more what The Shining
Yep.
is, how it worked, and all that stuff. So once I got it, I was like, oh. And so I was actually glad to see The Shining again, because I was finally able to actually get what was going on, how Danny has the shine, how he is able to talk to or see or whatever dead people has that ability, and then how him being there amplified all of the supernatural crap going on in that hotel and drove Jack crazy or whatever. And
I'm glad that you got way more out of it this time around.
yeah.
Speaking of Doctor Sleep, really quick, which was the 2019 movie. What was cool about Doctor Sleep was that it somehow served as an adaptation of the 2013 novel of the same name, while also being a direct sequel to this film we're covering today, while also incorporating several elements from the Shining novel.
What?
So somehow the Doctor Sleep movie was able to like incorporate elements from like all three.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true because
Well done.
as what from what I heard, I mean spoilers obviously, but from what I heard, The Shining actually ends in the Overlook getting blown up, but that doesn't happen until Doctor Sleep.
Right.
Right. Knowing what I know now about Shelley Duvall, what she had to go through, I'd seen some little clips. See, living in the time that we live now, where there's so much more information available to us, and including like I don't know, little film clips and interviews with people. And there was an interview with Jack Nicholson. It was a brief clip I saw on like a YouTube short, and it said like how he treated her was different. And Jack Nicholson is in front of the interviewer, and he's saying, yeah, he was a different director to her than he was to me. And then it cuts to like some of the scenes where he's just kind of nitpicking. Kubrick is. But
Yeah.
what's interesting is the tone of voice that he chose is exactly like Jack's. Like it's almost as though he wanted to keep her in character. It wasn't as though he was really trying to be mean, that he really thought that she was not very good. It was, to me, it seemed like he was nah, 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 nah. Like you remember when oh, you thought it was this? Oh, you thought, is that what you thought?
Dang,
What
that's how
about,
you talk
like
to
just that.
Wow.
It wasn't quite like nah, nah, nah. He was kind of nitpicking on some stuff, and it wasn't just like, well, no, he was talking over her, even like rudely.
Excuse me.
Yeah, excuse me. And yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that's coming out now about her. I mean, she doesn't seem like she's all there, poor thing.
Yeah, now, right.
Yeah, and some people blame him and the way she was treated on set, because and I was mentioning this to you before we even started recording earlier this week, or last week rather. We were talking about how he would film things over and over and over again ad nauseum until he got the perfect take. However many takes that would mean.
That was
Took
for
them
every
9
movie he
months.
did, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
every movie
his
he did.
style. Yeah,
He was
Yeah.
he's
consistent.
very, very meticulous about stuff.
Eyes Wide Shut, same. I remember, some people interviewing saying like they just were a week doing the same one shot, maybe 2 weeks doing the same one scene over and over and over again.
Sounds fun.
But to have right, exactly. But to have that, and then have the emotional, like she needs to be constantly breathless and
State of panic.
fear, in a state of panic constantly. So she's like cortisol is just coming through her system for
That sucks. Yeah.
I know that a lot of people will contribute that to like maybe psychological torture or something for Shelley Duvall.
honestly.
But it's like he literally did that to multiple actors in multiple movies. I don't
Yes.
think it was anything against Shelley personally. Maybe he did have more of an axe to grind with her, but it's like these are the same techniques that he is known for.
Right. He's straight across the board. And again, with that brief clip, I mean, all I did was hear it again. It was just taken. It could have been taken out of context. I don't know. All it is I heard the tone of voice. I saw her reaction, and she was getting defensive with him. And I was like, that's interesting. And so
Well,
I
Jack
almost
Nicholson
wonder.
said it too, that he
He
treated her
did. He said
differently.
he was a different director to her than he was to me. But I wonder if that wasn't to just bring out the very best performances in them from each individual person, to be whatever each person needed him to be in order to bring out the best in them for this role. And yeah, I mean, maybe she just it just was a bad for her psyche herself, just it broke her.
Now let me ask you this. Do you think that if it were true that he's just like a fucking dick and he's like an asshole and like very difficult to work with, does that take away from your enjoyment of his movies or his work?
No, I'm the kind of person who can separate the art from the artist, and it would be a waste. I would see it would be if I didn't watch it, if we boycotted it or whatever, it would be a waste. It would be as though that she did it for nothing.
Mm.
Do you see what I mean? Like, because he did get a very good performance from her. You know, she's weak in the movie. She seems weak. She's actually quite strong, but she seems weak and stammers and everything. But and so it seems almost like do something, you know what I mean? Oh, she's just taking this, you know, but that's the character, you know. It's not so much the actress, it is the character who's just doesn't know what to do. And so again, and it's also not just the character from the book, but it's what Stanley Kubrick wanted to bring onto the screen.
Sure.
So you can rest assured that whatever is on whatever is in the finished product is something he was willing to put his stamp of approval on.
It's his baby, and he's gonna get it exactly how he wants it, no matter the cost.
No matter the cost.
Something that actually Andrew told me is that there's a little, you know, a little bit at the beginning where it's showing the little the studios that did it, and it shows like their little logos or whatever. And I think Stephen King's is like a car crashing or something like that.
Wow.
Is it really?
I mean, yeah, Stephen King was in, I want to say, more than one car crash.
So he used that as his logo.
I think so. And Andrew told me that, and I'd have to rewatch it to see if, because I didn't notice it myself. But Andrew said that I think Stephen King said that this is where the similarity to the book ends.
At the beginning.
Yeah, before it even starts.
Dang.
Nice.
Because I mean, I think it's well known that Stephen King didn't really approve
Right.
of this movie, and that's why he did the miniseries later on in the 90s or whatever, which wasn't very popular.
But I mean, I have seen clips of it, and it does incorporate a lot of stuff that was missing in this movie.
Yeah, and
that
I
was
think
in the book.
explaining The Shining more, and
Yeah.
because I mean, The Shining, the film in itself, I feel like if you don't know or if you haven't read the books, it's just a horror movie.
Basically, it's basically
Right.
just like Jack going crazy.
And Jack going crazy, you know.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
But there's so much more to it.
Yeah, layers and layers.
Yeah.
So the opening shot of the movie, iconic helicopter sweep-in shot of the lake, fucking beautiful. I love this opening shot.
Absolutely.
And the haunting intro music, which I was playing earlier.
It's so off-putting, as such things can be when you see such beauty, and have such a. I mean, think about this too. Synths were a relatively new invention, so that have that like bass synth like. And it's just puzzling. Why is this happening? Yeah, I wrote cool shot. I don't even. I don't know if it's
cool
backwards.
Shot, bro.
Cool shot, bro. And then I wrote eerie synth. I was like, that is crazy.
It's fucking ominous, dude. I love this theme.
Yeah, ominous. Yeah.
Like it's already super creepy, and it hasn't shown anything. It's shown this beautiful setting, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's mentally right. It is, but it's so crazy because it's like mentally preparing you for you're. It's kind of like TV shows like Twin Peaks, for instance, where, you know, I would watch the intro every time because it almost like it takes time to pull you out of your daily from. At the time I was unemployed, so I was applying for jobs, and so I had my own concerns and everything going on. But then, this is when I was watching Twin Peaks, and then I'd watch the intro, and it kind of like you start to get into that world more, and it starts to pull you in, and it's so now the rest of it's starting to fade away. What reality is fading away, and the movie is now becoming your reality. You're entering in, and so it's almost like you're entering into Kubrick's world.
It's funny you mentioned Twin Peaks too, because much like Twin Peaks's stupid ass brown font with the lime green outline, what is with this fucking ugly ass turquoise font in this intro?
Dude, loved it. I loved it. I even wrote. I thought that was such an interesting choice too. To
and
use
it's just
this
like scrolling down, or is it scrolling up? I forget.
This sans serif scrolling text. I was like, it's such a. Here you have these mountains, this terrain. It looks so. I don't know. I don't know. It just looks so rustic or whatever. And then all of a sudden you have like this sans serif font, and it's like there's it's just very weird, very disjointed, but it works. At least it worked in my mind. But that's funny that you're like, man, what the hell? Neon green and Twin Peaks and some neon teal, whatever.
Yeah.
I would guess in this case it was just so that you could see it against all the natural backdrop or whatever.
The natural beauty.
because there's a lot of colors going on in that beauty, so you have to find one that stands out against all of them.
Yeah, although I felt like
Why not red?
Exactly, I was gonna say you could achieve that with this bad boy right here. You think that people wouldn't be able to read that font with the red coloring? Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Actually, you'd be surprised how dark red can come off. It's the it's actually when it comes to light, I believe it's the least bright light. Besides white, that was probably a color that is easily visible against the backdrop that we're seeing. That's just my guess.
Yeah, I could see that.
Cool shot though.
There it is.
Cool shot.
Cool shot, bro.
Cool shot.
We got Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson. And what he's doing is he is trying to take up this position as a winter caretaker at this remote Overlook Hotel in the Colorado Rocky Mountains. This is kind of a unique situation because even though it's almost like a ski resort type of thing, it's like a natural ski resort. They actually close every winter due to, I guess, the difficulty of needing to constantly clear the roads of snow. The upkeep of all that is just not really worth it. The resources needed for that, so they're like, yeah, fuck it, we're just closed.
Well, I mean, Jack actually asks that during the interview, like, why do you close during the winter? Why don't you have it open for skiing? Because the skiing around here would be great.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that the hotel was built there specifically to be remote.
Right. Beautiful views.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, like, what were their real intentions behind it? Was that the only reason why? Is they just wanted, hey, we just want some secluded place, that's all, to just collect our thoughts? Or was it, or did they have other things in mind? I don't know.
And he's bragging. He's like, and it was built on an Indian burial ground. And I'm like, that is not a freaking bragging point.
Of course.
Wait, he does say that?
Yes. When they're walking around the grounds, like not during the interview, like when they're walking, they're outside and they're walking
around. Yeah, he's like
and
showing them
like,
around.
And he's all like, this is built on Indian burial ground.
Oh my gosh, I missed it. I mean, I was writing down notes, and that's what happened. I missed it because they're walking through the Great Hall, and like I saw all those. You know, he talks about all these Native American like textiles or like the glass, the stained glass itself is like
designs
in certain patterns. Yeah, so I was like, oh, I'm watching this, and like they're surrounded by it. You know what I mean? It's like looking down on them, the light streaming through those onto them, and I was like, I'm waiting for that Indian burial ground thing to come out. When's it coming out? I'm pretty sure it came out.
Yeah.
And I totally missed it this last time I watched it. Okay, so he does say that. But
so is this not the premise for like every horror movie of like the 80s and 90s? The Indian burial ground.
But it's like it seems to have started with The Shining, right? Because then Poltergeist came out sometime shortly thereafter. I don't think Poltergeist was older.
I'm actually not sure when that came out.
82.
So yeah, it was like a couple years after then.
Right, and that's a huge reveal, right? This is you moved the headstones, but you didn't move
the bodies.
Bodies.
Right.
But he says it proudly.
Yeah,
she says he said it proudly. Oh,
yes,
this is on Indian burial ground.
And then, but I just wanted to point out how no matter what Jack Nicholson is trying to do, he just has that face. That creepy face.
What is your bone to pick with Mr. Nicholson?
He can't. I would never believe him being. I mean, he's all like in the interview, like, I'm just a writer trying to, get away and get some writing done and trying to like, look normal or whatever. But I'm like, nah, he's about to kill everybody in that place. Like, even then.
He said he was like a school teacher and like he got fired or something, right?
Right.
I wonder why he got fired. You think he was like yelling at the kids and scaring them and shit?
Yeah, I think it had to do with the drinking. If I recall correctly, that the incident where he breaks Danny's arm, he dislocates his shoulder.
Yeah.
And apparently he also went to school and got aggressive with a student.
Fuck.
And I don't know if that's mentioned in the movie, but I think that's in the book. I think I read somewhere during my research. Speaking of the research, though, at some point, Jack asks what happened to the previous caretaker, and they're kind of like, should we tell him? Let's tell him, and then they tell him that he got cabin fever and kind of went crazy and killed his wife and
his family,
daughters with an axe,
and then killed himself.
He says it in such a matter-of-fact way too. This thing happened.
He was a little reluctant though. It's like he was kind of hoping like maybe I wouldn't need to reveal this, but since you asked.
And then he mentions that his name was Charles Grady, and then later there's that character Delbert Grady, and in the book it's Delbert Grady that killed his family. There is no freaking Charles Grady. And so I wonder if this was done on purpose or if it was a mistake somehow.
Or like a descendant of this other Grady. Who knows?
Oh, so maybe there's
Oh.
more than one Grady that killed his family in the hotel.
The crazy just runs in the bloodline.
Oh, snap.
That's
Wow.
interesting.
Every seventh son that has twin daughters goes
They're not twins.
wacko.
Or at least that's what the Overlook manager said. He said that they were
Oh.
8
They're
and
like a
10 or
couple
something
years
like that.
apart,
Like
yeah.
Oh, I see.
specifically.
I see.
Yeah.
But they are referred to as the twins, and I think most people fondly refer to them as the twins.
Irish twins.
Not even.
I know, right? Not close enough. 8 and 10.
I wouldn't mind actually visiting that Overlook.
It
Because
exists.
I mean, yeah, I think that hotel is still there, and obviously has a different name, but
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much unchanged because it is so remote that it's like this is what we're kind of known for. We don't need to upgrade the
So they
interior.
used a real remote hotel.
Yeah, I think it was perfect though because it's like it just the hotel itself is its own character, right? So
Yeah.
the outside of it's recognizable. So you want to have something
Right.
kind of like the Great Northern Hotel in Twin Peaks. Like you want to have something
Yeah.
that's recognizable.
Absolutely. And then it's funny because then it's unmistakable. It's always going to be that, even though the name of it is not at all that. But yeah. One thing I was going to mention that I noticed in there's that scene where before they're driving up, I'm trying to think who was interviewing or she was talking to
Oh, the doctor that came to visit.
right, and so she's explaining, giving a little bit of, what do we call that? Exposition.
Yeah.
And explaining a little bit about backstory, like what happened, how did this go down and everything. But in the meanwhile, as they're discussing this, there's a point at which like it hangs on the shot for quite a long time. And the shot that I'm speaking of is there's the bathroom in the back, and you can see into the bathroom from that room. And it's almost it stays on that shot for so long. It seems intentional. If nothing else, it's foreshadowing because so much happens. The bathroom door, though, is while it's on this side in the room, it's like a pink bathroom in the distance. And you're in the bedroom when you're in Danny's room, and you can see clearly that line of sight to the bathroom.
And this is their current home, right?
This is their current home before
Okay.
they take the drive. Yeah, so they,
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's foreshadowing, I think, for like the jarring. Yeah, I think some really cataclysmic things happen in the bathroom, both with the lady in the
Kinda
bathroom.
true. Yeah, even in Doctor
And
Sleep,
and
he encounters more spirits, whatever, in Doctor Sleep.
Oh, I saw mention. I was trying to pay attention, but I think anytime that Jack has some sort of supernatural encounter, there's always a mirror in the shot.
Mirrors are creepy. I will admit that. This is back in Boulder, right? At their current location, and Danny, or Doc as they call him, played by Danny Lloyd. So that's another person has the same name as the character.
I know.
yeah,
That's where he has the premonition, which is what's his friend's name again?
Tony.
Tony. Yeah. So
Tony.
that's where we're introduced to what we think is his imaginary friend. I think as a parent, like you kind of give him the benefit of the doubt, and you think, oh, he's just being a kid, whatever.
Yeah.
Active imagination. Doesn't he even like? He says like, "Oh, Dad got the job," or
Yes.
Jack got the job, and he's gonna tell Wendy right now.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna. Do you want to go to the hotel?" And Tony's like, "No." And he's like, "I wonder, if he got the job or something." And he's like, "Oh, he's about to call Wendy and tell her he got it." Mm-hmm. And then I think that's when he has his episode, right? And
he just blacks out. Yeah.
And so the next scene, he's waking up in bed, and the doctor is there. And
again, if you just didn't give a shit about Tony at all, you would have totally missed that.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't care what Danny has to say. He's stupid.
Yeah, he's a freaking little kid. Stupid kids.
Jack's wife, Wendy, played by Shelley Duvall, of course, as we were talking about before. She gets that visiting doctor, which is actually kind of cool. You don't even have to go out to a hospital. The doctor just comes to you. It's kind of dope.
It was the 80s.
Right.
It was a wild time.
That's right.
I mean, that's kind of old timey if you think about it, right? They show up with their little like fucking suitcase or whatever, and just like, all right, let's see what we got here.
Bag.
My stethoscope and whatnot.
Yeah.
What's that like dish thing that sometimes doctors wear on their forehead?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know.
I think it's just to shine light.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
Maybe
maybe
that's
just
it to shine light to what they're trying to
just trying to
see.
reflect it onto their face or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
in their eyes, whatever.
Never let them know your next move. What I liked about this conversation between Wendy and the doctor is because that's where they really go in depth about the incident with
Yeah,
Danny and Jack. As a parent, what'd you think about this? Because she was really just kind of brushing it under the rug and like was defending Jack.
I know it's hard because I could see her, if it was like a one-time thing and then, he swore to stop drinking afterwards and stuck to it, I could see how she would give him another chance. But I would like to hope that if he ever did that crap again, that she would leave him immediately, especially to Danny.
Yeah.
But of course, some people I think would possibly not be as lenient. Like as soon as he laid a hand on Danny, that was it. They're out, or they should have been out. And I can see that side too. So just it must have been an '80s thing or something. But the like how nonchalant she was about it was a little. I would have probably been like, yeah, there was an incident and he's seeking help about it and it was definitely wrong. Like instead of being like that, oh, it wasn't a big deal. He just used too much force. Didn't know his own strength, that sort of thing.
The doctor even really had to like pull it, like drag
Yeah,
it out of her because she was just giving like these short answers. Oh, it was just something between Danny and Jack or whatever. And it's like, yeah,
yeah,
but what
wasn't a
really
big
happened?
deal.
Yeah, and he just kind of got hurt. Yeah, but what really happened?
Yeah,
But I like that too because as the audience member, you're like, what really happened? I was at the edge of my seat too, just like, come on, just tell us.
Yeah, it's so much better to have them for you to anticipate it, right? You want to know, you make you want it that much more.
and did
Definitely.
you say that that's when Tony appeared?
It was right before that, right? Because that's the whole point of the doctor showing up was.
No, I mean not in the movie, but she was asking like
His
when he
arm
started
being
talking to Tony.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So she thought it might have been when he started his new school and when he was like, oh
She
no.
was like, I wonder if that's his way of coping with the incident, this traumatic incident.
Yeah.
Interesting. Brenda, when she saw the scene, I just like, I don't know why, like it just really stuck with me. But Brenda was like, why does Wendy look like a crack addict right here?
Dang.
I think it's the deep set eyes.
You think so?
Yeah.
The skeletal
Yeah.
frame,
She's
Yeah.
she's very thin too.
Yeah.
kind of malnourished almost. So she almost
Yeah,
looks like a
almost
recovering drug addict or something.
little
Yeah.
malnourished, a little like her coloring is more pale.
Hmm.
So there's all that, and I think it's just her. Yeah, I don't know. Battered women will, I don't know, they'll think that they're the problem, or they'll think that
Hmm.
that they'll make every excuse for the man, that it took him to get to this place or that. I don't know. He just got pushed over the edge. It was really just them fooling around. It was just playing around.
Yeah.
He accidentally just did this, because otherwise it makes the person that they love or think that they love evil, and they wouldn't want to be with that person if that
Yeah.
were the case. But so they have to find a way to justify this for them so that they will so that it's morally okay for them to still be with that person for themselves.
It's like you almost want to give Jack the benefit of the doubt because we weren't really there, so it's all hearsay. But
Yeah.
Sure.
it's like you can you see how he carries himself, and you can kind of see that
Mm-hmm.
he does look like he might have a temper, and it was just something the kid was just messing around and didn't understand what he was doing, and maybe it was like just a bad moment. He was just like having a
Yeah.
really shitty day. He picked up his papers and he's like and just throws them on the ground, and that's when he's just like I've had a moment like that with my dog Minxie back at the condo right after I took her out to go potty. She took a shit, right? And I guess she had like some poop stuck to her butt. And so she immediately just like jumps on the couch and just like fucking starts like scooting her ass. And I just see this fucking streak, right? I wanted to throw her, but of course I didn't. So it was probably something like that, at that moment he was just like,
Well, and also he was drunk, so
yeah, true.
Frustration. Yeah. And he's also already physically abusive. Like he's already capable of, I don't know. Actually, I'm assuming things. I don't know if she's ever had a run-in with him hurting her,
I mean, she
but
didn't say, but you don't. I mean, we don't
yeah.
know if she.
But he certainly gets agitated.
At the beginning, like when he's first talking to her like that, I don't know if it's exactly the hotel or if it's just his own frustration. But then he progressively
Well,
gets
even
worse.
so, on the way backup to the Overlook, because he had already gone there. He went back to go pick up his family, and they're like, they're moving their way into the Overlook.
Mm-hmm.
And he, as the whole time he's driving, he does seem like he's just like annoyed,
Yeah.
right? Like he's just,
Or that's just his face, technically.
and I'm just wondering, like, is he just like that all the time?
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever really see him in a genuinely good
I
mood.
feel like he's not one of those very present fathers, He would just like work all the time and, let his wife take care of the kid and say he loves them, but not really.
Might be one of those
Mm-hmm.
situations where he will like use work as an excuse just to like not be around his family. Like it's almost like being
Yeah.
at work is your break, right?
Yeah, I could see him being like that, just not really present.
Mm,
Doesn't leave or anything like that, but doesn't really take an active role in
sure, yeah.
child raising.
Did you say, Steph, that you wanted to mention something more about the car or the trip up there, something like that?
Oh yeah, just how Danny was not wearing a seatbelt, just
All
chilling on
right.
the
It's the 80s for you.
chilling on
Don't give a
the
fuck.
back of the front seat. I
Seatbelts
know.
were just a suggestion back then.
Seriously. Winding through those mountains and stuff. I bet it was like a game to people that back then trying to get the kids to go across the back seat like
Those bench seats.
We are at the Overlook Hotel, and it seems like they're doing some last minute cleanup, and like they're gathering their
Yeah,
stuff,
it's
and the
closing
staff is
day.
leaving.
It says on the screen,
Yep.
closing day, and everyone's scrambling to get the F out of there because they're all creeped out by it.
We're introduced to the cook, Dick Hallorann, played by Scatman Crothers. That is his name, by the way.
Yeah.
Like that's his given, not like a stage name.
That's not what he was born with, but yeah, he actually goes by Scatman Crothers. This is one of my favorite parts of the movie. I just found like everything about Dick Hallorann and like how he carries himself and how he talks and treats Danny. I just found everything really fascinating and interesting, and I wanted to see like what else he was going to talk about. This guy has been through some stuff and he knows some stuff.
Definitely, even stuff that you haven't said.
Doc.
Right, exactly. And there's like, oh, how'd you know we call him Doc? And he's just like, oh, I must have heard you mention it. And she's like, no, we haven't said it since we've gotten here.
Talks to him in his mind.
Right. Would you like some
Would
ice
you like
cream?
some ice cream, Doc?
It's wild because yeah, he has this little one-on-one with Doc, and he goes further into The Shining, which is what the whole movie is titled after.
Yeah, and this is the only time that's basically ever mentioned besides the title.
Yeah. It's got that shine to it.
Yeah.
I love how he carries himself.
Yeah, he's got a great delivery.
He's talking about how he can talk to his grandma without ever saying a word, and
That's so cool. Imagine having powers
Yeah.
like that, right?
I know that would be pretty cool.
And in the book, they definitely they make more use of the power. But yeah, in this one, it's like it doesn't quite make sense to call it The Shining when I felt like it would make more sense to call it like The Overlook, honestly.
Yeah, seriously. But I guess this was based on the book or whatever.
And what do you guys think about The Shining? Because I know you were talking about like how when you first saw this movie, you didn't know what the fuck The Shining was. They did a terrible job of explaining it for the most part, and they don't really revisit that other than this part.
That it's the only time that it's mentioned in the whole movie, and so I think it's easy to kind of brush off. But I think there are several things in the movie that are kind of downplayed and easy to brush off. Like I think when Danny's in the bathroom talking to Tony, and Tony's like, "Oh, your dad's about to call your mom and tell him he got the job." Like that's basically your clue that Tony isn't just an imaginary friend. But it's easy to just brush off if you're not really paying attention.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And then like this conversation, like yeah, sure, it's a decent length conversation or whatever, but I feel like you have to really kind of pay attention and carry that knowledge with you through the rest of the movie for it to make sense.
Right. There's nothing overt. There's no real hand holding and
They're not beating you over the head with
Yeah.
it, basically,
Yeah.
right?
right. And so it's like subtle. It's almost like if you're willing, if it's interesting enough to you, then go read the book and then come back and watch this and you'll see the other layers as well. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's almost like unapologetically just here's some information. Here's some stuff. There's some exposition and
Do with it what you will.
do with it what you will. Yeah, yeah, we're left to our own devices, and so of course I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now.
I guess there's like two ways of looking at it. It could be, I like when they don't over explain things, and that's
Yes.
definitely not what they do in this movie, is over explain what The Shining is. Kind of holds that mystique. but also at the same time, it's like, you know, they don't really give you enough to really go off of. And the fact that it's kind of puzzling that they don't make more use of it throughout the movie, you kind of just forget about
Mhm.
it. Honestly, by the end of the movie, you're like, oh shit, I forgot that, you know, he has
Even
powers.
when he uses it later, it's not so apparent. You kind of have to put two and two together yourself, you know?
Hmm.
When Dick Hallorann wakes up and he's seeing what's going on in the hotel, and you don't. And I think later on somebody mentioned. Oh, I think it's Grady mentions to Jack that, oh, your son, summoned that chef or whatever.
He's bringing the cook.
The cook.
The cook, that's what it was. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I guess it gets mentioned, but I feel like, yeah, definitely there's no hand holding if you don't have knowledge of the book, or maybe don't have knowledge of how to interpret Kubrick movies.
Hmm.
It's just gonna go over your head.
Yeah, I mean, both are easily doable. Not understanding a Kubrick film and
Not
overlooking,
having read the book, yeah.
yeah,
Overlooking.
overlooking.
Oh,
I think the first time I saw it, I was too young, too dumb, and didn't have the necessary knowledge. So all of that
Hmm.
definitely went over my head.
Also, what Hallorann tells Danny around this time is that he explains that the hotel kind of has its own personality. It has its own shine. And this is also where he warns Danny, stay away from room 237. Because Danny's like, hey, I've been like seeing signs, or I've been getting like weird feelings
Tony
about,
told him about it.
oh, Tony.
Yeah, he was basically like, he was trying to like play it off like, oh, there's nothing wrong with room 237, but you don't have any business there, so just stay away.
Foreshadowing.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this was originally room 217 in the book, but they changed it to 237 for the movie.
And what's the significance of the room? Because besides
I was
the
gonna say
old
that too.
lady being there, nothing really happens otherwise. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
why is that room so? Like, is that where most of the murders happened,
It's
or
possible.
just the Grady murder, or
I
what?
don't know if there was like a significance to the number 217 originally, but apparently they had to change it because there's an actual room 217 at that hotel where they filmed it.
Uh,
And people were just like going nuts trying to like break into it, and like they only want to
oh
reserve
my
room
gosh.
217. So even now, like people knowing the fact that like in the book it used to be called 217, I think the managers of the hotel or the owners, they requested like, hey, can you change the number to like something else? There's no actual 237, so we'll just use that. It had like a pretty big suite though, right?
Yeah, I think so, but I feel like maybe a lot of the rooms in that hotel are probably like that.
Oh, that's true.
It
We
seems
haven't
like a
seen a
really
whole
big
lot of
hotel.
them. We just kind of saw like the little like apartment area thing where the family
Yeah,
was
which
staying.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty chill. They might as well just take in like the penthouse suite,
You're
I
right.
know.
live in luxury.
They'd have to clean it themselves though.
Oh yeah, that's true. Now just leave for the cleaning crew when they get back.
That's
They
messed
Yeah.
up.
should just shit in every toilet the entire time they're there. Not be
Just
flushing,
shit in a different toilet every time they have to shit, and then never flush it.
and then close it and you just lock it up.
Uh,
It's a month later, and the family have been just kind of chilling in the hotel, doing their thing. Danny, he starts to have some weird visions, including the not so twinning Grady twins.
I think what he's like playing or something. He's playing darts, and then they're just standing there, and then they just turn around and walk
Yeah, they
off.
don't even say anything, huh?
Yeah, it's creepy. Until the next time.
Do you think that, or when you first saw the movie, did you think of Tony as like being malevolent, or is he more like trying to help him and like guard him?
That's an excellent question because I feel like I didn't really think of him as good. Maybe it's kind of the way that his voice sounds.
Right, right. It seems kind of creepy, and he seems like he could potentially be evil. Like, is he trying to possess Danny?
Yeah, who knows? Or is he already possessing Danny?
mhm.
I don't know. I didn't exactly get the feeling that he was a good entity, I guess.
I was also thinking that I was like, I don't know about this Tony character.
Right.
Right. May not have your best interest at heart.
Can never be too sure. Don't trust anyone. And then just in that month that they're there, seems like Jack's mental health really takes a downward spiral.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
They were only there a month.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of starts off like he's like really frustrated that he has the writer's block. He can't really break through, and he's just kind of passing the time. He's throwing that ball at the wall at the giant hearth.
Yeah.
That fireplace is so big.
Yeah.
So he starts typing something down, and then he gets like super fucking like pissy with Wendy because she's just like, "Can I get you anything? Are you hungry? You want a sandwich?" And rips the paper out of the typewriter, and he's just like, "Every
Yeah.
time you come down here, it breaks my concentration." He just rips it up. Bro, relax.
Right?
Grow up.
So over the top of that, so dramatic. She's just trying to help him out. He had been sitting there all day, and he's
Exactly.
like, "Yeah, I just want to see if you're hungry."
There's nobody else, no other grown up to talk to.
Yeah.
There's no other grown up to talk to. It's like you want to have a real conversation, and it's not just about cartoons or this Tony character.
Right.
You're the only other person, so hey, I have some empathy here. But no, of course he's caught up.
It's almost unreasonable, like what he expected when he went up there, because I think he thought, all right, once we go up there, you guys just don't fucking talk to me the entire time we're there. I can just hammer this book out. We're good.
I thought he was going to have to do some sort of maintenance.
I don't think he did a damn thing. I think she had to do everything.
I know. Even Wendy was doing more than he was. Like, she was dealing with the boilers or whatever it was.
Right, yeah.
Checking their pressure, checking stuff off on a clipboard. So she was doing the job he was getting paid for while he sat there and was a dick.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me wonder if, had he always had aspirations to be an author? Because he was saying that he wasn't really passionate about teaching, right? That was just a gig.
Yeah, it seems like he had always wanted to write.
So I wonder, is he, I don't know, resentful at Wendy about something? Like, if it weren't for you, Wendy, I could have already been like a Stephen King.
It seems to me, right? It seems to me like it's always easy to project. The things that the emotions that people don't want to feel, they will project onto other people. And I'll see myself do it sometimes when I'm like, oh, there's a little I'm triggered by something, and so then you immediately deflect. And then it's like it's getting better, but it takes so much time and so much patience to start to see the ways in which your emotions are insidiously influencing you in ways that if you weren't being so influenced by them, you might be motivated to say something else, and instead of reacting, but and reacting in a way where you're like being defensive or being like, that's not my problem, that's you, and this is you're causing me this grief, but really the feeling is inside you.
Misery loves company.
Right, it's true. And we should probably cover that movie sometime too.
Misery.
But it's like he's projecting. It's like I don't think, I mean, in the movie it seems a certain way. In the book it seems like he really is genuinely trying to connect with his family again. In the movie it seems very very selfishly motivated.
That was, I believe, Stephen King's biggest gripe about the movie, was that there was no redeeming quality for Jack. He was just a piece of shit through and through the entire time. Whereas, like, that's not how he wrote the character in the book.
Okay, interesting, because I wondered how that character had been written, and just from a little excerpt of a copy that's where I asked you if that was quoted, all work and no play, because in it's like he's trying, and I think that's what's so painful about the whole thing is it's like this guy's actually trying, but he can't escape from the demons of the past. And
I can kind of enjoy both though, because I feel like those are very distinct stories. You do have that route where it's like you have this Jack character that you can see that some good qualities in him and you want to root for him, but it's just like he's flying off the handle. Whereas like this one, you're just like, oh man, I wonder how much further down he can go. I think that's what makes him so terrifying in this movie as well.
Wow. Yeah. No, again, they live separately, and I'm perfectly happy with that being the case. I think both stand on their own merit. Again, Kubrick's just a genius, and although there are reasons, I mean, it's like you knowing that you can never cover an entire book, even if it's a mini series, there's still going to be elements you'll have to leave out. Knowing that you're going to be limited with what you can show on screen, what he then chose to show carries weight. And so it's like, okay, so what is the story you want to tell? It's almost as though he's using some of the elements from the book, but like using creative license to express something that he wanted to bring out from the book, that some feeling that he wanted to imbue in other people,
it's like
as well.
Loosely based off of the source material, huh?
Right, loosely based off source material, exactly, because there's, again, no redeeming qualities, and that's huge for that character not to have that redeeming quality. He is the main character, for fuck's sake. Like, he's basically next. I mean, Danny is the star of it all, but But yeah, I don't know.
Do you think that Jack's the villain or is the hotel the villain?
What do you think, Michael? Because
Um,
I kind of have like a what I think about it, but I also don't want to sway your answer either.
oh yeah. I would say that I think that the hotel is the enemy. I mean, is the hotel even really the enemy, or are the people who just decided to still build a hotel on top of Indian burial ground and disrespect those people? Are those people the real bad guys? Because I don't, you almost begin to wonder, like, are these Native American souls or whatever, that this mystical connection, is this just, is this justice for, for what's been done to their people?
So what I'm getting is that you're saying all Native Americans are evil. Got it.
Right, exactly. I'm all, as I put it, I'm Native American. But yeah,
And
so
we're
I don't know.
canceled
It's
next
more. It's
week.
again. No, it's just so because again, the people that perpetrated this, building it on the land. But ultimately, like, what am I getting at? I'm saying that the hotel itself is an evil entity, and Jack was not the murderous type prior in the movie. I'm going just solely off the movie. If Jack had been, it would have been an inevitability, right? You hear that, Mr.
Inevitability.
Anderson? That's the sound of inevitability. Yeah, but it wasn't. It seemed like things were okay, but he gets there and he just goes gradually more and more insane. Just the shots that that he takes of him, just that one where he's just staring off, like the stupid that stupid clip you sent me of when some Instagram post, and it's just like Jack Nicholson just staring like he's a kid, just staring at something he's never seen before. He's just like
Oh, that was yeah. That was like
glaring.
it said like kids when they see a handicapped person and they're just like
For the first time. Yeah, for the first
like
time.
not even trying to hide it.
Right.
Just they've never seen this before. What
What
is
is
doing?
this? No, it's. I'm curious to think. Well, really quick, I'll give my answer too. So I think that I say that Overlook is the villain because I feel like the Overlook is a character in and of itself, and the
Yes.
like spirits and the monsters and stuff are part of the Overlook. Like I don't think of them as being separate or like I don't know, maybe a monster alongside the Overlook. I just think of like them like that's all one entity. And so I think that is the true villain of the story, and that I think Jack is he's the pawn. It's like the gun isn't the killer, it's the person wielding the gun, right? So I feel like Jack's the gun
Right.
and the
Right.
Overlook is the
Mm-hmm.
person pulling the trigger.
Right. Another thought that I just had. Do you think, obviously, Jack had an abusive moment at some point, and we don't know if he had other moments before or after that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it could be argued that the hotel kind of stop?
Yeah.
That Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
The hotel
Yeah.
do you think it could
Anger
be argued
management.
that the hotel saved Wendy and Danny from Jack?
Stop. Yeah. Sorry, that was cracking me up.
Answer my question.
Oh, sorry. The penis might here. The
Anal bum cover. That's an album cover, Mr. Connery. An album cover. No, I know an anal bum cover when I see one. Try swords. That's S word.
swords. I mean, he's not wrong. Sorry, what was the question again?
Well, considering that I was saying that Jack showed, at least one abusive episode, and we don't know if there were any other abusive encounters before or after that one. Do you think it could be argued that maybe the hotel saved Wendy and Danny from Jack?
Like it could have come out in like a more intimate setting had it not just been amplified by the Overlook.
Could have, yeah.
That's possible.
Maybe he might have fell off the wagon and started drinking again, and you know gone down that
It
road.
definitely seemed like that was his vice, and it almost like kept calling back to him in some way in the
Yeah.
form of Lloyd. Yeah, I mean, maybe the evil is hereditary, you know, like maybe there are generations of kind of like the Grady's. Maybe with the Torrances, there's a whole history of evil nature within them. Interesting to think about. Yeah, maybe it was
Yeah.
inevitable. There's no avoiding it. It was gonna come out at some point, and it just got accelerated.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
But I also wonder, I don't know, like, is there some sort of I mean, there's remorse in the man, but there's a bitterness at least portrayed in the movie that is like just something that he doesn't seem to let go of. But it's like if you're just constantly around that same negativity like all the time, which is essentially day in and day out what was happening to him, then it's just gonna push you over the edge, you know. I don't even understand, and that's why I'm kind of curious to read the book. Is I don't understand how it's driving him crazy. You could see it on the looks on his face, and so you can just kind of like, he's not quite right. There's something going on right now, and I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it's happening. He wasn't this way when the movie started, and now he's acting weird. Whereas I'm kind of curious, like, what is happening in upstairs, you know? Which I'm sure Stephen King does good into, but
One day I may read the book.
All right,
Okay.
let's finally talk about Room 237. It does the iconic shot, the one take where it just shows him riding through the hotel, which is fucking
The
cool. I
hotel.
really love that scene, even though it doesn't really like have like a major impact on the story, and it doesn't really like progress the plot or anything like that. It was just really cool seeing the interior of the hotel, and it's just like him riding around, you know, without a care in the world. He just all of a sudden stops dead in his tracks, and he looks over, happens to be right in front of 237, the forbidden room. I mean, it could be maybe
mhm.
it's kind of interesting to him also because of like the morbid curiosity, right? People say don't go in there, so what do? You're like, shit, I gotta see what's in there.
Yeah.
Or maybe the hotel was trying to draw him in.
So that door is open this time, right? Because before, doesn't he try to like twist the handle and it's like, oh, it's locked, whatever.
Well, the first time, yeah, he tries to twist the handle and it's locked, but the second time the key is
Right.
in the
And
door
it's left
already.
Right,
cracked.
right. That like red fob just kind of hanging, dangling from it.
Curiosity killed the cat. He kind of just saunders in and see what's in here. But the thing is, it doesn't kill him. Whatever's in there doesn't kill him. It just wanted to traumatize him.
Clearly.
Hmm.
Jack had fallen asleep at his desk and was having a nightmare, clearly. Because that's the scene where Wendy is, checking the status of the boilers or whatever, and then she hears the screaming because Jack's having a nightmare. So she goes out and wakes him up, and then that's when Danny kind of, wanders in, and she's like, go play. I'll come find you in a little bit, and we'll have lunch. And he keeps coming, and she's like, mind what I say, and he's not listening. He's just zombieing
Yeah,
in,
well,
I
he's like
guess.
sucking his thumb, and he's just like fucking completely traumatized. And that's when she finds the marks on his neck,
Yeah,
and then she immediately
and she
blames
blames Jack.
Jack. It goes back to the incident, right? And till my last breath, she ain't gonna let that down.
I wonder. I know. I wonder if there was any other reason for her to say that. To go
Well,
there.
because I think she's thinking logically. She's like, we're the only ones up here. There's no one else here. Who else is it
Oh
gonna
yeah,
be?
that's true.
He's not gonna choke himself, right?
Obviously.
So I think that's where she's coming from.
Right.
That makes perfect sense.
Eventually, Danny tells Wendy off screen that like some lady in the room did that to him.
Yeah. And so she comes back freaking out, like, there's somebody here, you need to go check it out, kind of thing. But we forgot to mention that when he was having his nightmare, when he wakes up, he dreamt of killing his family.
Right, right. More foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, I guess, goes to investigate since I guess he forgave her earlier blaming. I don't know, but or maybe he didn't, since he goes into this room, finds a beautiful woman, and immediately starts making out with her.
Yeah.
I think of it like a siren. It's just you can't resist.
I guess that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And then after that incident, of course, he doesn't want to admit to Wendy that that's what he encountered and that's what happened. So when she asked him about it later, he's like, nothing was
He
in
just
there. There's
downplays
nothing.
it. So I will
Yeah.
say I didn't know what I was expecting for room 237 when I first saw the movie, but I was like fucking on the edge of my seat when he was walking in, because it's like it's doing the slow reveal, and it's got this like really odd mint green bathroom. Like the entire bathroom is mint green.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like a 60s or 70s kind of situation.
Hexagonal design on the floor, the carpeting, the
Yeah, that
colors,
was
the
so
earth
60s.
tones and everything, that's totally 60s. Yeah, it's like I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but I also wasn't disappointed. I was just expecting something creepy, like something disturbing, and that's what I got.
Huh.
Obviously, this is something that they kind of revisit in Doctor Sleep, but when it shows the tub, the bathtub, for a second you can't quite tell if there's someone in the tub,
Yeah.
and then until she starts moving. It is disarming to see like this beautiful naked woman, and she looks like she's interested,
Mm-hmm.
and you just, yeah, you're not going to say no.
Jack's not gonna say no.
Yeah.
This is also kind of similar to Melisandre from Game of Thrones, which I won't say much other than
Yeah.
that, but yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, seriously. Um, so then he's like shook afterwards, and so he goes to the gold room and sits at the bar, the empty bar, wishing he could drink. And then all of a sudden, the camera flips around and the bar's full and there's a bartender there. And so he has a conversation with his bartender, talks about how when he hurt Danny and how he felt bad or whatever, how he would never do that. And I think he mentions how Wendy threatened or accused him of hurting Danny again.
Hmm.
Has a couple drinks, talks to Lloyd.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you think he's like actually saying these things out loud, or is this like, do you think he's just sitting there like
All in his
catatonic?
head.
Yeah, just like having a conversation in his own mind.
I feel like it's in his mind because when Wendy does find him, he's just sitting there in silence,
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of makes me wonder if like this is what he feels he wishes he could do, is like have someone to talk to and like really open up about without being judged, and that's who Lloyd is to him.
Right, but then again, I don't know. I hesitate to say that only because the hotel reveals itself to Wendy when she's in the stairwell and she sees those two people in the room. I'm like, oh, so it actually is there. So I'm wondering if it's just not allowing her to see it.
Yeah.
If Jack is the one with the shine,
Mhm.
yeah. If Jack is the one with the shine, and Danny inheriting that from him. It's like the Overlook gets shy when it's around people it doesn't want to know that it's got different designs. It doesn't reveal itself until it's too late.
And maybe that's why it's basically dormant when during the on season. There are too many people there.
Kind of like it, yeah. When it wants its victims, it wants to lure its victims into a false sense of security, and then have nobody to return to. And think about that, like it reveals itself to her when it's too late because he's already running after his son.
So Lloyd to Jack can almost be like Tony to Danny. Like he's just having like these internal conversations just with himself, but it's like a different person that's inside of him that only he can interact with.
Yeah.
This Lloyd guy just like fucking comes out of nowhere, and we're just supposed to just be like, okay, cool, that's Lloyd, that's his bro.
Right, exactly.
Oh, your money's no good here, sir.
Yeah.
You're just saying all the right things.
That's not the time where there's the party, right?
Yeah, I think that's like the second time he goes in there, because that's when Wendy comes in,
Yeah.
pulls him away, and then he comes back shortly after, and then that's when there's like a bunch more people there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then he finally meets Delbert Grady.
Delbert, played by Philip Stone.
Is this around the time that Danny tries to contact Hallorann?
I think so, yeah. I think because after his experience in 237,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
he's almost in like a catatonic state himself.
Like a catatonic,
and he's just rocking back and forth. And I wonder if it's Danny or if it's Tony that's reaching out to Dick. But someone is reaching out to Dick, who happens to be like thousands of miles away. See, that's another aspect to The Shining, is that you can call someone far distances, they'll still be able to pick it up.
Like the radio.
Dick was saying that he could communicate with his grandma or his aunt or whoever telepathically, right, in the same room. But it's even more impressive to find out that like you can reach out to someone in a different state, they'll pick it up loud and clear.
It makes me wonder though, like all the stuff that's going through the air, all the radio waves and cell phone
The
tower waves
5G.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
5G, yeah.
Is that harmful?
I feel like anything could be harmful, if you get enough of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is also a strange conversation that Jack has with Grady in the restroom, right? Because he gets that drink spilled on him, and it's like, oh, let's go ahead and let's just pull you into the restroom. We'll clean you up and send you on your way. But then that's when Grady starts getting a little creepy with him.
Yeah.
Your son, Danny, he's calling out for help. He's gonna call the cook.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I had to do with my family? I had to correct them. I think you might need to do the same.
Needless to say, he comes correct.
Was he just putting up a front the entire time, just trying to like manipulate him and control Jack? Because Jack was like, "You're the one that killed your family. I read about you," and he's just like, "No, it wasn't me. I've never operated the Overlook or anything like that." And he's just like, "Yeah, like that was totally you." He stopped denying it. Yeah, that was me. I did it. I corrected them. So he does a 180 right here.
Well, does he say that? Because he also wrote I mean, I wrote some notes down, but he said you've always been the caretaker, and he just stares at him.
At first he was trying to downplay it and say like, that wasn't me, I never killed them. You were the one that was running the hotel. And he's just like, you ran it at some point. And then that's when I think he just stopped denying it. So I wasn't sure like what they were going for right here.
Yeah, the sense I got was that he was still saying, I've never been the manager, but I'll tell you what, there was one time where even though I'm the whatever he is now, groundskeeper or whatever, not groundskeeper, groundskeeper Willie. Shut up. Do you want to get sued? It's called The Shinin. You mean The Shining? No, shut up. Do you want to get sued? Yeah, I think and that's important though. Yeah, that's an important piece because I think, I don't know. My impression was it has something to do with like the order of whoever is the most recent, whoever is the person that is living there that's going to commit the murder is going to be is like the king of the place. So it's like, oh yeah, no, you're always the caretaker. And so they see it that way. And he doesn't seem to put it on like he's like faking it, or like that he has something to hide.
Right.
It's more like, oh yeah, hey, you're the caretaker. And by the way, I've run into a situation once before where I had to correct my family.
Okay.
And so it's like, even though he's like, hey, look, I may not be the caretaker right now, and I only ever remember having been you being the caretaker, but since we're on this, since I noticed that your son is trying to do some shit. Let's change the subject a little bit. Your son's trying to do some shit, and we're not really happy with it. You're not happy with it, so you need to correct him. My wife corrected. My kids corrected.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay.
Is there a point in the movie where Jack basically just kind of loses all control and just goes full crazy?
All hell breaks loose. Sorry, I love Radiohead. Does he? Was there a point that he totally breaks loose? Yeah, that's what he said.
Was it that bathroom scene? Was that when he finally
Oh,
steps over into full crazy?
Yeah, I see what you mean. He gives into it, so to speak. Isn't that interesting? That brings up like predestination kind of questions as well, because that was another thing when he brought it up. He said, you've always been the caretaker," and I was just like, "Always though." And I remember hearing him say that. It's like a trope almost. Like,
Yeah, I still don't exactly.
when he says you've always been, he's not. He doesn't seem, from when you look at his face, it doesn't seem like he's being facetious. Like he's just like, yeah. You've always been. Now go ahead and kill them already, and then we'll get into the details of what really is going on here. No, it's more just like, no, you've always been.
It's always been you.
Creepy.
But the drink is symbolic for sure. Whether that happens in the book or not, the drink is for sure symbolic. It's like the Bible. It's like eating the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's like that. That's that moment where here's an offer, and he accepts that offer, and what that does to him inside, like ingesting that.
You're relinquishing control. Like you're letting your vice consume you instead of you consuming it.
Right. Which in this case very literally consumes him, or rather takes over, because it's only when he's had to drink that he loses control. And so now he's literally saying, take control from me.
Yeah, I think of it as like a visualization of him losing control every single
Capitulating.
time he takes another glass. That's like him kind of like giving it
Weakening.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it never happens like in so many ways in our lives. It never happen. It doesn't happen to him where it's just like the switch is flipped. It's more like gradually, ever so gradually, he's pulled, 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 pulled,
Right.
pulled,
Right.
and not even just pulled, but like offered. Again, it's a real tempting offer. They told me the devil was gonna look good or something like that. They told me Ned Flanders
Oh,
when he
when
gets along with
he
that other
meets that,
version of
yeah,
himself.
yeah, like a doppelganger almost.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, idly ho. And then they're like, oh, yeah. And then he's like, oh, you want to smoke the reefer? And he's like, they told me the devil was going to look tempting or something like that. Devil.
Like they could have been best friends if it wasn't just for that.
Right, exactly. That would have been it. That's it. But no, no, this far and no further, sir.
Yeah,
But, okay.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to move on, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was too. So I was just saying that I think that is the moment that he goes full crazy, because not long after that, that's when Wendy, she checks on the desk where he was working and he
That's
wasn't
it.
there. So she's like, oh, well, let's see what he's working on. Finds the manuscript. And that's when she discovers all the different pages of just all work and no play make Jack a dull boy over and over again.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. But what's interesting is it's like that it snaps. I mean, it's like he was gradually being drawn in, and then finally, boom! It snares
Yeah.
him, right? It lured him. Come a little closer, and then
It's like a fly
got him.
trap, right? Like it's just
Oh, the
like, go
Venus
ahead,
flytrap.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead and just come in here. Bam. Snapshot.
yeah. Gotcha, bitch. So yeah, it definitely did because I wrote that down. The hotel knows when people shine in its walls, and that's when he corrected him, right? And then literally the next note I wrote was typewriter scene,
Ah, yeah.
and the dissonant strings, bro. That music. Speaking,
The
going back to the
music was
music, dude, like that.
fucking so
Ooh,
unsettling all throughout this.
ooh,
And it gets loud too.
yeah,
I was mentioning to Brenda that the music will sometimes drown out the audio because it's just so like turned up. It's like so emphasized in this movie.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Again, with purpose. Like if he drowns it out, it's kind of like Interstellar. There, I think I mentioned this to you before. There's a scene in Interstellar where the audio was audible the first time I watched the movie, but then I went to another theater where they made sure the levels were the way that it was intended to be heard. But ArcLight theaters do that or did that. R.I.P. And when I watched it at that one, it was not, you could not hear what he said. It wasn't important that you heard. It was just a moment that you're supposed to feel more than anything. Like, what did he say? And then anyway. Sorry, going back to the typewriter scene. So yeah, so she comes in and it's just building the music, the way he uses it so beautifully, like the plucking of the strings, and it's just, and you can still hear other ones just kind of scratching, and it's just like, oh, this doesn't feel right. You feel so unsettled. It's a way of making someone feel unsettled without having to use that canted angle, that trope of, you know what I mean? That's just so that's just so old hat, page after page. Like the fact that Kubrick had somebody dedicated to typing this shit out with that formatting, and the fact that it was done with a typewriter, you can tell it wasn't like they could just copy paste that
No.
shit. It was typewritten with the indentations on the
Now, I will
page.
say that it might seem impressive to us to be able to type all that out in like format and all that stuff, but I've literally seen backstage footage of Stanley kind of like rewriting certain parts of the script, and he's using a typewriter. He's just, like he's typing it up because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just what they had at that time.
Right. I mean, I've got my typewriter in the other room. I like, so that's just
So to them,
yeah.
I think that's just like what needed to be done. But for us, we're just like, wow, that's impressive.
Oh yeah, you're right. I guess I can see what you mean. But yeah, the fact that, well, it's impressive. More so, it's even more impressive now that we know. Oh, there's so many easy ways to get that same thing done. But I think it's no less impressive to those watching the movie to see like reams of paper, and each one that she pulls, it doesn't look like it's the
There were
same.
typos too, if you noticed.
And there are, yeah, you like they scratch it out or they put a letter over one,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, he was very intentional. Jack was, at least. Jack was like, no, it's got to be all Jack and all work and no play.
They stay on that scene for a long time. Like it could have like only been like a couple seconds, but it stays on it, and it just
Right.
keeps cutting back to her pulling more pages, more pages, more pages. Her reaction, more
Because you get the
pages.
point. Yeah, you totally get the point. You're like, okay, this guy's like crazy, and he wrote this a bunch of times. We get it.
Typical
But no,
Kubrick.
it's just like, but exactly, he likes to let you live in the moment, let you live in this thing he created, because he literally was building this scene all along. This is the climax. This is Wendy.
Honestly, there are so many memorable lines in this, right? Like that was obviously one of them. The all work and no play. The "Hello, Danny, come play with us" by the girls. Like that's an iconic
Yes,
line.
yeah,
"Light of my life." Like we quote that every
yes,
now and then. I
yeah.
mean, where
Like,
does he get those wonderful toys? Oh wait, that's a different movie.
oh yeah, yeah. This town needs an enema.
Just start like throwing in like other lines now.
All Jack Nicholson lines just out of there.
Do you guys just spend most of work quoting Jack Nicholson at each other?
Little
And we
gifts,
do.
yeah. In the chat, we do. Like that's not even a lie.
I did that one. I did that one
Oh
earlier
yeah,
with the knock.
on the door.
So playful, so awful.
So awful.
God, when he's like a little schoolboy, he's just like, oh, "Are you in there? Are you in
Let
there?
in there.
I got an axe."
Yeah, I got an axe for you. I got a present. Oh, speaking of the axe, I mean, yeah, after staying on that scene for a little bit with her pulling all the pages, guess who shows up? Jack wielding that axe. Oh wait, no, she has the axe, right?
No, no, no. She has a
She has the
baseball
bat.
bat. She brought a Louisville Slugger
That's
with her.
right.
Yeah, she was leaving because remember she's leaving the bedroom where they were she was watching TV shows with Danny, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go check on Daddy, or I'm gonna go see what Daddy's up to." Blah blah blah. But then all of a sudden she like grabs the bat
That's
because she's
true.
already remembering the last time she had to go down there into the room where he was typing.
Right.
It looked like he was gonna lose his shit on her then, and she got yelled at, and so she left in,
Imagine showing up with like a bat ready to use it on him.
right, right. At least with the thought that she'll have, even if not, she's not ready yet to commit the act, if it comes down to him or me, then she's gonna swing that bat when, and do what she's got to do. But she doesn't want it to come to that. It seems it's just like, hey, look, let's be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Her modern, that was her version of pepper spray or something like
Right,
that
right.
back then, which is so prevalent now and necessary, unfortunately.
Dang. But then that's where he uses that line, right? Because he's kind of like slowly backing her into the corner.
Did you think for 1 second that I might, just
Totally just ripping into her.
gaslighting her and the whole bit, and that long scene, how it drew out, and the way that the dolly tracked,
Mm-hmm.
the way that it's like the shot goes from the table and she's backing away, and it kind of like does like this snake pattern, like an S shape back up to the staircase, and then it goes up the staircase. But like, it's not like she just walks straight line to the
Back.
staircase and then goes back up. Yeah, she's like, she meanders this way, and he's still growing progressively worse and worse. And she's like, stay away,
Right.
stop.
And I think a lot of people were kind of frustrated with Wendy here because they're just like, man, she is such a pushover, right? And she's just like, she's wailing and she's just like, I don't know why you're doing this. And, he's like mocking her and everything, just really being a piece of shit to her, really antagonizing her.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, she does finally have that breakthrough moment that the audience was kind of waiting for, where she is backing up the stairs and, he's like, give me the bat. Give me the bat.
Mm. Like so mockingly,
It wasn't even a hard hit, but like that was apparently enough to like kind of like stun him.
Yeah, popped him right on the top, just a little, right on the crown, just like, oh.
At that point, I think Wendy's thinking, okay, I think it's time.
Check, please.
It's time to get out of here.
Bringo, check, please.
Bringo. Yeah. I mean, it was a cool scene, but if there were some doubts before, this is when Jack goes full villain mode. No turning back. This is where Wendy knocks Jack out, right?
Right, he tumbles down the stairs, and she's like, "We getting the fuck out of here." So she goes back
Doesn't
to
she locks him up first.
right, she knocks him out, and then
She
she
yeah, she drags him to the
dry
to the
goods
storage room.
Which she would not have been able to drag his ass all the way to the kitchen. I'm sorry. That skeleton.
Yeah.
Hey, you get a lot of muscle when you're carrying kids around, okay? First of all. Second of all, I think this is important because we find out, I guess, just how much power the ghost in the hotel has when they
Yes.
literally let him
Yes.
out of that storage room.
I don't know how I felt about that part because I think up until then, they were always described by Hallorann, right? He said that just think of them as pictures in a picture book. They can't do anything to you. And so I kind of believe that, because you would assume that they
Yeah.
also couldn't do anything to Hallorann, but yet somehow they can manipulate physical objects, and they totally just freed him.
Right.
And put bruises
They
on
tore his
Danny.
right, exactly. They tore him up. So I think there's things that he just doesn't know yet himself, because it hasn't revealed to him, because it wasn't yet intending to kill him. But yeah, the fact that it's powerful enough, the hotel's powerful enough to manifest this physically and get him out. He had no other way of
Because
escaping.
I would think that it would be drawn to anyone that has a strong shine to him, which I feel like Hallorann has a very strong shine to him. You know, he's very competent with that ability.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like,
Fluent.
if anyone, if
Yeah.
you're gonna grab anyone, you gotta grab him. He's gonna give you the most.
Right. Or so we thought. Of course, Doctor Sleep shows otherwise, but how powerful Danny really is, which we don't even really get an idea of. I wonder if the book does a better job of it, of seeing just how powerful Danny is. But maybe it's in Doctor Sleep that you really see it, because he's older then. But yeah, so he gets out of the hotel, lets him out of the dry goods storage room.
Right.
And then he immediately goes and grabs that emergency axe that's there in the kitchen area. And then his ankle's fucked up, so he's like kind of like
Hobbling.
exactly over to up the stairs and everything.
And then meanwhile, Danny, he keeps repeatedly saying the phrase "red rum" in that stupid voice, and then he takes some lipstick and writes "red rum" on the door. For the longest time, I had heard the term "red rum" before I even saw the movie, but I never understood what the hell it meant. And it wasn't until I saw the movie and you see the scene where red rum in the
reflection.
mirror, is murder backwards.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of cool. Red rum.
Yeah.
You can almost just use red rum, and like anyone will know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Stephen King did that. That's crazy.
What is red rum in the book?
Red rum. Red rum.
Red rum. Man, I feel like at this point though, I start like kind of mixing things up because it all happens so fast, you know?
Yeah, it does. Everything starts happening quickly, because then Dick is on his way in that vehicle, heading closer to them.
And the snowcat, yeah.
Yeah, the snowcat.
Making his way over there to the airport, rents the snowcat.
Dude, he gets there fast.
Yeah, he
yeah.
got there.
This was like pre 9/11 TSA business.
Oh, right. So things were probably a little quicker back then.
Boy.
But yeah, then they're he comes and he tries to open the door. Jack tries to come and open the door to their apartment or hotel room, and they're already in the bathroom, locked in that bathroom as well. So he's gonna have to go through two barricades. And meanwhile, she's also looking at getting Danny out the window, and she's able to help him slide down that embankment that lets snow.
That's actually kind of nice. The snow perfectly went right up to the base of that window.
Yeah,
slope.
exactly. So he gets out, and then Jack he's using that axe, and man, that shot! I just love the action, the emphasis.
Yeah, it's following the motion.
Shot without the movement. Boom! Without that, it would just have been so lame. It would have just been very matter of fact. It would have been too.
It wouldn't have been as interesting. Yeah.
And as soon as he finishes that, he cracks open, and he finally creates a big enough hole in the door. He looks through it and he goes, "Wendy, I'm home." And then he opens the door.
Almost makes it more terrifying that like he was not much of a jokester before, but now he is in this crazed state.
Oh, right. Exactly. And that whole improvised line, "Here's Johnny."
He just sticks his head in.
Yeah, just mashing it. It's so that scene, this whole part is so iconic that it was even in the movie Twister.
Yep.
And I hope that the new version of it also includes that, but if it doesn't, whatever.
We actually mentioned that in Twister. The creators of Twister, they wanted to also find a way to like destroy the screen, but still have the movie projected onto the tornado, because they felt like that would be a cool effect.
Okay, that is cool.
Danny is able to escape through the window, but apparently Wendy can't fit, which I'm like, you're skinnier than the boy is. You could totally fit.
That's what I was gonna
say. Yeah.
She's got them childbearing hips, though.
The thickest part of her body is her head, and she's able to stick her head out the window. Okay, so she could have made it.
Yeah, exactly. So he cuts through and here's
Well, she's
Johnny.
desperate at this point. She's cornered.
That classic line. I'm glad you mentioned it because you can't not.
You can't not, exactly. And again, improvised as well. Just so
Do you know why he says Johnny though? Is that a reference to something else?
no, it's just because at the time it was, yeah, it's a reference to the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, because that was
Oh,
Ed
okay.
McMahon was his like what do you call it, his hype man basically, and so he'd be like, and here's Johnny, and Johnny would come walking through the curtain and just do. Um, so at that time, I mean, there was really no other like late night talk
But like
show.
people would have known what he was referencing.
Yeah, exactly. Just here he is, the guest you've been waiting. Here's the guy, the one.
The main attraction. Yeah.
But what was I was going to mention one last thing. It was so interesting. I've watched this scene so many times. This like real brief clip of that moment when he's chopping the last door. He to see him get worked up for that scene, because it's like we get so caught up in the moment, and we're just like it just captivates us, right? So we're there in that
Right.
room with them, empathizing with her, fearful of him.
And he really has to hatch that door apart.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So he works it up. And so like in the scene it's like some, what is it? Behind the scenes footage.
Right.
Kubrick is like going in, the cinematographer has the camera, like he's adjusting the camera to like be where it's going to need to be at the start of the scene. And as that's kind of pulling back that way, Kubrick was just checking in on Shelley. So he's talking to her. He's got like a little monitor on his side, a walkie-talkie and everything. You see the light. So he's going in. So you got three things happening all at once. You have him talking to Shelley. You have the camera moving back into position. And then you have Jack, who's like trying to get in his, he's like getting in his own head, like getting worked up. So like as Kubrick's backing out, Jack is like looking at the bed, and he's like, he goes, and then he just grabs it, and he just kind of like mimics like going up like this, like he's going like really soft footed, but he's not. But he's like you see him going like, and then I'm
Almost
gonna need to
acting it
get
out,
here.
yeah, beforehand. Mhm.
Yeah, kind of just like slow motion, almost like I'm gonna take it off the bed. I'm gonna, and the camera shot from underneath that way, reminiscent of Clockwork Orange,
Yep.
right? Just boom from down, and just such an odd angle to see his face. But you did see it in the storage room as well before the hotel let him out. It's almost like a sign, some sort of symbol or a depiction of his insanity, of his having lost his mind.
That is true because in Clockwork Orange, that's when that guy loses his mind.
That's right, exactly. So Jack gets cut on his hand. Boom! After chopping the door down,
Trying to open the door.
reaches in, trying to open the door. She cuts him, and then he hears. What does he hear? Oh, he hears the cat. That's right. He hears the snow cat. And then, oh crap, he's coming. So I'm gonna go out there. And so he's heading down. And that's when she first sees, as so he's gone now, and she's like, oh shit, I gotta find Jack. I gotta find Danny, and we gotta get the fuck out of here.
So Hallorann he made it back to the Overlook and he's looking for Shelley and Danny. He knows they're in trouble. He received the SOS, the telepathic SOS from Danny.
Mm.
I get why Dick needed to be brought back to the hotel in terms of the plot, because he needed to basically bring a working snowcat for plot purposes.
Yeah, for the movie,
You
since
know?
they don't really get into details about the hotel needing to feed off of people that shine.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, for the plot purposes, yeah.
But I'm not sure how I feel about Dick being killed. How'd you guys feel about him getting taken out right here? So I'm like, he goes all this way just to fucking get taken out in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it needed to make more sense to me. It took effort. I was like, I have this guy's death can't be meaningless like this. I mean, it's meaningful insofar as he provides a vehicle, like a real literal thing, but he's a mystical person, and he gives insight into this mystical world that they're inhabiting that they weren't even aware is.
And it was so
So for
quick.
him to just die, like, yeah,
Walking through the
exactly.
main like foyer or like the hallway area, and then yeah, Jack just comes out of nowhere, boom, axes him right in the abdomen, and that's it. He's down for the count.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of anticlimactic, especially because he was one of my favorite characters.
Same, but it's interesting because he functions in another way in that if nothing else, it also shows that Jack is beyond the point of, he's just beyond who he was once
there's no redeeming
before.
him.
Exactly, and also that he's willing to kill. Like he did it. This guy did, because he doesn't, obviously he doesn't kill the other two. So this just shows like he's gone and he's willing to
Same.
murder.
Yeah, that's the way I thought of it too, was that no doubt it was for shock value. And what I think they really wanted to go for here, they wanted to really drive home how dangerous Jack was while in the state, because he needed to at least kill one person while he was here to really show how dangerous he was, and he isn't going to kill Wendy or Danny. So I guess they decided Hallorann is the collateral damage here.
Right.
He has to take the
That poor
fall.
dude.
But yeah, I mean, I just feel like they should have alluded to like him being able to survive the attack. Like maybe it wasn't such a such a devastating blow, but then like he somehow was able to survive. I don't know. I just felt like they could have found a way to keep him alive.
Yeah, it's hard to give it the meaning that it was deserved, and still serve the plot the way that the pacing and everything, the way that Kubrick had built it out.
It's a Stephen King situation. You got to kill somebody, but you can't kill the only other two people in the movie.
They have plot armor. You know they're not gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, they do bring him back in Doctor Sleep in like a little vision or whatever, but still.
Yeah.
So now we get to the hedge maze. Daddy!
Right,
I like how over time he just becomes less intelligible.
as his mouth gets more numb and his tongue's like. I like how they kept maintained that continuity, though. The continuity of the fact that either he or some other person, some like script, whatever they call those. My cousin was one of them for a while. They basically make sure that you're following the continuity. Like if you've been standing outside for a long time and it is as cold as you're saying it is, eventually your lips are going to get numb. It's going to be harder to enunciate your words. And so he gradually, progressively over time gets more unintelligible with how he's speaking, because your mouth stops working as well as it did before.
This was crazy though. Wendy's not here to help Danny. So this is basically just Danny versus Jack at this point in the hedge maze.
Versus the hotel, too. Danny versus Jack versus the hotel.
I was gonna say also, I feel like he's getting more crazy, so that might have something to do with his incoherence. Also
that too. Yeah.
As sad as I was about them not incorporating the hedge animals, there is something that was pretty awesome visually speaking, and I guess like for plot purposes, about the hedge maze. I really enjoyed this part of the movie.
Okay, I'm ignorant of the hedge animals. What's that?
Oh, in the book, there's
they're just creepy.
The topiary animals that come to life.
They're not really like super
no.
important to the plot, but it just adds to the element of the overall hotel. Yeah.
That's awful. Oh my gosh, that's awful.
It's like when you're looking at them, they don't move, but then when you turn away, they like chase after you.
Like the
things from Doctor Who.
Weeping Angels in Doctor Who. I thought it was really smart of Danny how he ended up eventually escaping Jack, though.
Right. It was sick. I liked it. Because Danny finally did something.
Starts stepping back in his own footprints and then hides and
misleads him. Yeah, I thought that was cool because Danny didn't have any help, and there's no indication of like Danny being able to perform under pressure or anything like that, or think strategically
maybe
like
it
this.
was Tony.
It could have been. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Like I wondered. Yeah,
I wonder if Tony was like, stop,
drop,
shut him down, open up, shut. We all know.
Yeah.
Tony knew it was up.
DMX is forever. He reaches back in time.
Is ahead of his time.
Forward.
Yeah.
Then he's able to. He steps back in his own footprints and then hides. And eventually he drops and crawls back and brushes away his crawl marks as he crawls and hides.
He can find his way back out of the maze, whereas like Jack cannot.
Right. Yeah. Either as intelligent as Danny is, or as intelligent as Tony is directing Danny to do whatever it is he does. Like, it's believable. Either way, it's like
clearly Tony can see far, since he could see that that his dad was about to call to tell his wife that he got the job before he did it. So yeah, he could probably see exactly how to get in and out
Yeah.
of the
So
maze.
maybe he instructed him to like only go as far in the maze as he needed to. And he's like, all right, you're far enough ahead. Stop right here. Boom. Hide behind this corner.
Yeah.
And then you can make your way back out. Just follow your footsteps back out.
Right. Dang, I forgot that he followed his own footsteps back out. Also smart.
Yeah, not so much by Jack. And you know, it's kind of a happy ending. Like I don't know if that's what they were necessarily going for. I think it's supposed to still be kind of bittersweet because there's no redeeming Jack. So yeah, there wasn't going to be a happy ending for him. But Danny reunites with Wendy. They hop in Hallorann's working snowcat, and then they head back down the hill. How'd you guys feel about the death of Jack? Because it happens off screen and it's just an instant. You know, it's just a
Oh, I
glimpse.
love
I
it.
thought it was kind of funny, actually.
It's a little comical.
You know, since it just shows
Black
him,
humor.
yeah, and it's that typical Jack Nicholson face.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, but it's like he's got like he looks. It just looks awful. I don't know when I've seen it. It doesn't. It doesn't. It didn't make me laugh the first time. Actually, I don't ever laugh when I watch
It's a little
it. When I
crazy.
see it, it's so matter of fact. It's so like moments before he was alive, and next thing you know, it's just and he's just like. I
Yeah.
remember looking at it, and I was like, it's kind of like that movie Stand By Me. Do you ever remember? Do you guys ever watch that movie Stand By
I've
Me?
never seen it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, it's like there's this moment where they see this dead person, and these young kids see this dead person, and you're like, is that real? Like, as the person watching the movie, you're like, is that real? Is that real? Like what am I seeing right now? Like, you have to take a moment, and because it happens so instantaneously, and he's got like just that frozen face, you're just like, is he dead? That he looks dead.
Right.
Is he breathing at all? Is there like any like steam coming out? No, nothing. Fuck, he is dead. Oh, that's what a dead person looks
Right.
like. That's what I would look like if I were
Like
frozen.
icicles hanging off of his nose and such.
Yeah, just everything crusted up and shit. And I was just like, the harsh reality of it takes time. That's why I'm so glad he doesn't just do like a, like The Ring, where it's like show the quick photo of that woman in the closet, like young girl in the
God,
closet.
that
Like,
was
oh,
terrifying.
that was awful. Thank you.
It is
That is
terrifying.
terrifying. I remember pausing that and just being like,
You paused it?
like
Oh,
it was
I was
bad.
just like, nope.
You don't need to pause it to be.
You don't need to pause it to see, but when you do pause it, I promise you, the detail is there. It's awful. It's bad.
It's nightmare fuel without having to pause it. I don't need that.
Oh yeah,
But that's what makes that movie so great.
For him to hold that shot, and it's just like, look at this.
Not too long
look,
though.
Just
like
look
it was there for like a couple.
Not
seconds.
too long. It's just a couple beats, and you're just like, all right, it's enough to go. Yeah, he's dead. In my mind, I know he's dead.
What makes it kind of comedic is that, to me, his expression looked like he was annoyed that he had died like that. Like he's just like, ugh, I'm so fucking cold.
Oh, he's like, I'm so damn cold. Exactly. Stupid kids.
Where's that stupid kid anyway? Fuck, I'm so cold.
Yeah.
So then after this, when it shows the picture,
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what was it Grady meant when he was saying that he's always been there or whatever. Because the picture, it shows him in the picture, and the pictures from the 1920s.
Yeah, July 4th, 1921.
4th of July. Isn't that ironic?
Because we're recording this on the 4th of July.
Quite literally now. It's
wild.
12:46. That is weird because we were supposed to record last week.
Yeah, I know, that's true. But what does that even mean?
I have some theories.
And that's over 100 years ago now. It wasn't then in the movie. It's only 50.
Right.
A little over 50 years. So now, 100. Crazy.
Wow. So, but like, does a version of him keep coming back to this hotel and like doing the same thing? Like, was he Charles Grady?
Is he just destined to like keep being drawn back to this hotel? We'll just try again next year. Type of thing.
Interesting.
Oh, right. It's got to feed.
Obviously, he's not the same person. I don't think he's like the exact same person, but like he looks similar to the guy that's in the photo. And I think he's related to him in some way. Possibly he may be just like the spirit reincarnated as like a younger version.
Oh, is that okay? So that's how you interpret. Okay, interesting. The way that I've interpreted it is that he's now joined them. Like he wasn't in that photo before, although we've never really seen that photo. The way that I interpreted it is he's one of us now, and he's very prominently now in the center of them, like, here I am, I've always been here, kind of thing. Like, just because he ever set foot there, like, that's why. And I wrote that note about predestination, and I was like, is it when you die there, does it mean that it's like your death stretches from the beginning of time to the end of time, like this is eternal, based on the fact that now it's on Indian burial ground, which whatever that means can mean
Yeah,
whatever.
you already said it.
I don't
Native Americans are evil.
know. Oh my gosh.
No, another thing too about the photo is that the pose. Did you notice that? The way he's standing is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
originally saw it as like either he's like holding them back or he's like leaning back on them.
Right, but somebody, one of the man in the photo, there's another man in the photo just behind him, is holding on to his arm. It's like he's touching
Yeah.
him. Some part of him, it's like the hand is grabbing him like here, and the guy's over here,
Hmm.
and he's just like, yeah, here I am. We're having
Did
a
you
great
notice the
time.
positioning though? His arm positioning in the group photo is reminiscent of like Baphomet, the as above, so below, like the right hand up, left hand down.
Huh.
Did you notice that? I looked at it and it's straight up. It's like purposely posed that way.
Oh gosh. Oh, look, the guy's hand is on his shoulder, almost like telling him to, like, hey, put it down.
Interesting. But you see how like purposefully he's posing that way, right?
Yeah, you're right.
It's like arched, pointing up,
He's bent at the elbow. Yeah, he's bent at the elbow.
and he does look devilish. Like his grin,
Again, that's just how he looks.
that is creepy. That is creepy, and I love it. More questions than answers, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
What happened? That's what I want to know, that I don't know ever gets answered in the book. But my thought is, why is he now joining them? Again, in my conception of it, whether again, that's what I thought is, now all of a sudden, because his soul, because he died on the premises, now he's a part of that photo from that time, from that year, from that day, which was the July 4th ball,
Right.
1921. What is significant? I'm curious. What is significant about that date to the hotel?
I mean, so that's supposed to be Independence Day, but that's the day he loses his independence. That's kind of ironic.
Yeah. Or in the hotel's mind, is it the day that he gains his independence, because it joins them and they think they are out, and they see themselves as being outside of time, free, independent.
That's crazy that like in your theory, then they can retroactively add people to this photo that's already been taken.
Right. Exactly. That's what's so freaky about it.
That is a wrap on The Shining. If you made it to the end of our podcast, then your soul now belongs to the Overlook.
Oh,
Ah, damn it.
sorry, Charlie.
Any final thoughts or closing comments?
Just grateful to have the opportunity to watch that movie again, an excuse to watch that movie again. Just appreciate the brilliance of Stanley Kubrick and Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and Danny. Last name I don't remember.
Just Danny.
Yeah, Danny. All the actors, Scatman as well. Everybody in there does a great job, and it's just the cinematography, the set design.
Yeah.
It's such a rich world.
Yeah, overall, it's not a perfect movie. I definitely
Yeah.
found a lot of flaws in it myself, and that's not to say that it's not a great movie or to like take anything away from it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that it was my favorite Kubrick film. I guess I could say, but I
Hmm.
do get why it's so iconic. There's like so many iconic shots. The setting is iconic, iconic lines. I definitely think that it deserves all the praise. It's still third on my list of my favorite Kubrick films, behind A Clockwork Orange, number one, and 2001: Space Odyssey.
Mm. Ooh, Clockwork Orange is your favorite. That's That's interesting. I was gonna say that's crazy because I was just like, wow, that movie was so awesome to watch. It was like, it just blew my mind. Just I don't know. It's so out there.
Yeah, definitely. It was impactful, and that was why I was pushing for that so early on. Because I mean, that was like one of our earlier
Ah,
ones. That was episode 6. Yeah, long
dang.
time ago. Shit. How about you? In I think last time we did a Kubrick film, you said that The Shining was your favorite.
Yeah, I don't know because I hadn't seen 2001 yet, and I don't know. It would be a toss up between those two.
So you really
Um,
like 2001?
I do. Yeah, I did. I do. So that one, those two are really up there. I don't know. It's hard to say. I'll just say top three on any given day because it just could change. But my third favorite would be actually not Clockwork Orange, even though it's really, really good. There's a movie called Paths of Glory
One
that's
of his
like it's a
earlier
black and
ones.
white. Yeah, and that one, that one sparked. That one was such a heavy movie, such an interesting movie that I remember it sparked a conversation afterward that was felt so meaningful when I was talking to my friends who had watched it with me. There was only two other dudes who watched it. We normally did like a Saturday night movie night at this buddy of mine's house, and yeah, we were the only ones who came. So anyway, long story short, yeah, that one just has sentimental value there for me, as well as the fact that it was just a really, really well shot movie, and the plot and everything is just, yeah,
Hello? Oh, I accidentally muted
yeah, I
myself.
can hear you.
So I was just saying that we definitely have to mention the music again before you head out. Like,
Yeah,
dude, the music was fucking great for this movie.
absolutely. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like everyone. That's why it's like such a great movie. It's like everybody was firing on all cylinders.
Mhm.
Everybody was. It seems like at the peak of what they were. Cinematographer, whoever the cinematographer was at the peak of his game.
It would have been an entirely different movie without the awesome music.
Yeah, and the music exactly. The composer, whoever that was. Yeah.
The worst part was Wendy's run
Her run, yeah, it's just
with the knife in one hand.
there were some campy moments with Wendy and Danny. Some of it took me out of the movie at times, but I don't think that was enough to really like totally take me out of the movie. I still enjoyed it. I thought it was
Yeah, I
great.
definitely developed a better appreciation for it this time around, and can see why it's a cult classic.
Dude, this movie is all Jack Nicholson, and dare I say, the performance here
Seriously,
Yeah.
might even top his portrayal of the Joker. Hot take.
but not the Joker.
Hot take. Hot take.
Dude, I don't know. I just felt like he was just putting on a classic here.
Yeah, yeah. It's truly iconic. Phenomenal. And he'd already been doing a lot of work since before then. So yeah, to have this resurgence in his career, and I don't know, just it really showcased his talent.
If nothing else, because Batman came out, what, 89? So it's 9 years later.
Wow.
Dude, I think that this role, his performance of Jack Torrance, cemented his position as the Joker when it came time for that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. His yeah, his sense of humor, that dark
Oh, yeah,
humor.
his fucking maniacal laugh.
You wouldn't hit a man with glasses, would you?
Especially when he was in the pantry and like he was like talking shit through the door and he's just like, yeah, go check the vehicle. You'll find a surprise. And he was just like fucking like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh man, so good. He just
So
plays
good.
crazy so well.
Yeah.
Are you watching anything lately, film or TV?
Just finished watching Devs for the second time. It's on Hulu. Highly recommend. I told my pops about it, and so he wanted to watch it with me. So we watched it together, and I remember at the very end, the last episode, he was just like, "There, I hope that this won a lot of awards."
He
I
really
was like,
liked
"I
it.
don't know that it did, pops." Yeah, he was like, "This should. I hope this won a lot of awards. This is so different than what you see typically, and it's such a good story." He
Mm,
said. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, I got all excited because I was like, just like with you with Twin Peaks, because I recommended it. And it wasn't, I was like, I don't know. It's not good. Toscano started it and he couldn't get into it. So I was like, I don't know. Anybody I suggested to may or may not like it. And so for you to get to the very end and still have an appreciation for it,
right.
it felt the same. It felt similar to when my dad just, told me that he really appreciated the show. So anyway, all that to say, anybody out there who hasn't seen Devs on Hulu, please go check it out. It's only one season. It's only eight episodes long. Each episode's like 45 minutes to an hour. But it's a hell of a story.
Nice. That's awesome.
What about you? What are you watching?
Well, I also want to mention I did go to a show, a concert for a band called Seosin, and it was a band that Brenda and I
Oh,
had been into since we first started dating. Before we started dating, actually, I think. I mean, she wasn't the one that introduced me to the band, but it was one of those cool moments where we discovered that we both like similar styles of music. That was a lot of fun. That was kind of full circle for us because that was my first concert. That was the first concert we went together. I was 20. I walked in as a 20-year-old, and then I walked out 21.
Oh snap!
My sister was there too, and they bought me my first drink over there and my first legal drink.
Wow, dude, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy you got to enjoy that.
And then Brenda and I are watching Dexter on Paramount Plus. Well, technically Showtime through Paramount Plus. It's still a lot of fun to watch. I actually wouldn't mind covering that if any of you two are interested in that.
Yeah, I need to.
That could be kind of cool.
I've heard good things. Yeah, I need to jump into it because I've seen the first season and I was like, how can that be topped?
Right, exactly. It's one of those situations where people may be turned off from watching it because they heard how bad it ended, and the ending of the original series is pretty bad.
That's what I heard too, and that's why I was like, everyone tells me get to the this and this killer or whatever, and I was like,
Trinity Killer,
okay.
probably.
Trinity Killer, yeah, the Trinity Killer.
And well, this being our anniversary episode, I just want to say really quick that I wanted to show my gratitude for you and Steph. You know, starting the podcast with me, it truly is one of the most cherished things that I've ever done. You know, I always have a great time spending doing these episodes with you guys, hanging out with you guys, discussing movies and whatever else comes to mind, you know. And I get that it's certainly a challenge to be able to make these shows happen. You know, there's a lot of moving parts. We all have our own stuff going on. It takes effort and dedication to be able to do these episodes. Sometimes it takes a miracle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real.
Mhm.
You know, I just feel like I don't tell you guys enough that, you know, it's an honor and a privilege doing this show with you. And that's on me for not saying that.
Likewise. No, likewise.
Oh.
Likewise.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
And here's to many more episodes.
I have enjoyed myself. Yes.
Yeah.
With that said, thank you to listeners out there for joining Stephanie, Michael, and I. If you like what you heard, please consider giving us a like and subscribe. New episodes drop on the first Saturday of each month, 5 a.m. Pacific. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. This has been Aflixionados Podcast, episode 42, The Shining. And we will see you all next time.
Woo. I'm going to bed.
I know, me too. I didn't realize what time it was.
Sheesh. Yeah.
Early 90s.
97, it looks
Late
like.
90s, actually. Here.
Oh, late. Wow. Man,
Yeah.
I thought that movie was older.
Yeah, we were older when we saw it because we were not old enough to see it when it came out.
Okay.
Oh, well, there it is. Yeah.
Well, so who introduced us to that movie?
Oh man, I want to say it was either. I'm pretty sure it was my ex-boyfriend,
Which one?
my first boyfriend. Don't say his name. I want to hear it.
Does it start with La?
No, no, it does not.
No, it does not.
There's this running gag that I just keep bringing up Lamont in like random episodes.
But it does start with a sla.
Slamont. Strange coincidence. All my boyfriends have similar sounding names.
Dramont.